Okay, can we take our seats, please, everybody? Order! Sorry, could we take our seats, please? Sorry to shout.
We've got 40 minutes to go.
The beginning.
Yeah.
Okay, sit down, please, everybody. Okay, we will begin. So, welcome to this confirmation hearing. Item 1, apologies for non-attendance.
Apologies for non-attendance from Councillors Baker, Lunn and Miss Woodhouse.
Thank you. And agenda item 2, request for members of the public to address the meeting?
No, sorry, none, Chair.
Okay. Item 3, any members have any disposable pecuniary interests or non-statutory disposable interests to declare? Okay. Chair's announcements? None. Moving on to, welcome Vaughan to the meeting this afternoon. I hope you've enjoyed what you saw prior to this meeting.
You still want to carry on? Lock the door.
We'll go around the table just for quick introductions. So I'm Councillor David Smith, West Northamptonshire Councillor, clearly chair of this panel and Cabinet Member for Community Safety and Engagement and Regulatory Services.
Councillor Jill Mercer, Vice Chair and North Northants Councillor.
Councillor Russell Roberts, North Northamptonshire Councillor.
Ken Pritchard, the Councillor for Deanshanger Ward.
Dorothy Maxwell on NNC.
Andre Gonzalez-Hevich. I'm one of the councillors for the area that was the headquarters of police and fire. It still has the main headquarter building there, whatever anybody says about Derby House, but you're always welcome to come and work out there. Also member of the panel and chair of place and overview scrutiny at West Northants.
Winston Strachan, I'm councillor for St George and West Northants Council.
I think we know each other.
I'm Zoe McGee on North Northants Council.
Anita Shears, as you know, COPT independent member.
I'm Councillor John Paul Carman, NNC Councillor.
Thank you. Nice to meet you all.
Thank you and welcome. So I invite the Commissioner to outline the proposed appointment.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. It gives me great pleasure to introduce Vaughan Ashcroft.
Gone off again. It's just something about today, isn't it? My great pleasure again to introduce Vaughan Ashcroft as my preferred candidate for the role of Interim Chief Finance Officer. As you know, Helen is retiring from the OPFCC. There it was important that we recruited someone with all the skills and experience to undertake this statutory role. Statutory role. It was also important to me to ensure that valuable institutional knowledge wasn't lost, which is why I proposed Vaughan as my interim CFO. Not only is he already known to you in his role as currently acting as a Deputy PFCC 151 officer and has helped to provide information and briefings to the panel as part of our budget making process. As the report sets out, Vaughan is a strategic finance professional with considerable experience in all aspects of policing and fire financial arrangements, accounting and strategic planning, including 5 years at the most senior level of financial management, as he is currently the Chief Finance Officer for the Chief Constable. Vaughan has a proven track record of delivering high-level financial and strategical support, and his extensive knowledge of the business and the key players within it will mean he will be able to hit the ground running and steer the course through the budget and preset processes for both police and fire partners. In order to undertake the role, Vaughan will step back from his current role and responsibilities as the Police 151 officer to prevent any potential conflicts of interest. Mr Chairman, it is clear to me that in Vaughan we had an exceptionally strong candidate who would complement and enhance our office. As I've set out in the report, I'm proposing that this role remains interim until after the election, at which point whoever is the PFCC in Northamptonshire will be able to make a substantive appointment. I will, however, ensure all the preparatory work for a recruitment process is completed to prevent unnecessary delays in post-election appointment. With this in mind, Mr Chairman, I will now hand back to you to allow the panel to ask Vaughan any questions they may have.
Thank you. So we have a number of questions. On my listing here, I don't know who has question one. So Councillor Mercer.
Okay. Hello, and it's not just at the beginning of the meeting, so we've seen you sit there, so but welcome. What particularly attracted you to this opportunity to carry out the role of Chief Finance Officer on an interim basis?
So, as you know, I've been carrying out the role as Chief Finance Officer for the Chief Constable for the last few years, and before that I was Head of Department for Finance, and my whole career has been in policing and in the finance world for a number of years. And I like new challenges. This will give me the opportunity to see a different side of the business, to really make a difference. And in my current role, I work very closely with the office, but with a very different hat on. And I've seen how they work, and I like how they work. And I think I can really add to that and build on the really good work that Helen's done to make it really fit for the future.
Thank you.
Thank you. Mrs Shields for question 2.
What do you see as a main challenge involved in financial management and planning in policing and fire and rescue, and how will you seek to address these?
So coming out of does that work?
No.
Testing. So coming out of the pandemic, there is a considerably more volatile financial world that we live in. That's a big risk for us and something that we need to keep addressing. So in all of the strategic planning and budget work that we do, we need to take account of all of the varying political, economic changes that are happening across the country and the world. And through the good work that we do in scenario planning, in looking at different assumptions around inflation and all of the differences that can happen in a budget world, that they're the kind of things that I want to be looking at and continue that good work. Inflation is a key one. The economic position. We've gone through real challenges in pushing forward our capital programme because of supply chain issues and all of that kind of stuff. And it's making sure that we're fit to meet those challenges. They're what I see as the big things. And to make sure we continue to innovate. So there's always a big kind of challenge in meeting savings targets and making sure that we can afford to keep going as a business, but then also being able to be innovative and invest where we need to. Invest where we need to invest, because as you know, the Commissioner is not going to be wanting to put precept up without offering something to the public. It's never as simple as that. So we need to strike that balance, and that's a big challenge for us.
Thank you.
Thank you. Question 3, is it Councillor Roberts?
You have now.
You have no numbers.
I do apologise for the can't get the staff. How would you describe your approach to leadership and management, and how will you aim to apply this in the role as interim Chief Finance Officer?
So I've managed staff for quite a lot of years, and in my current role I've got a team of going on for 40 people. I like to set an example in my leadership style. I like to listen to people, and I like to make sure that people are empowered to carry out their jobs and to develop within their jobs. It's a very different approach within the Commissioner's office. It's a different environment, but I still like to think that those values that I hold will still work. I still want to make sure that the people around me, whether I directly line manage them or I'm part of their team, I want to make sure that we all understand all of our traits, all of our diversity is really important to me, and making sure that we can work together cohesively, that I can instill trust and confidence in people, and I think transparency is key.
Thank you for that.
Thank you. Councillor Strachan has the next question.
My question is, could you give an example?
Could you pop your mic on?
Sorry. Sorry. Yeah. Could you give an example of when you have moved into a new role or organization at a strategic level and quickly needed to understand it so as to inform you in carrying out your role? What approach did you take and how effective was it?
So when I first joined Northamptonshire Police, I joined as the head of finance in 2018. And for the majority of my career, I'd been working at Leicestershire Police. And whilst it's still policing, it's a very different organisation. So and when I landed, the Northamptonshire Police had been going through some problems, and the finance function was also really struggling. There were some serious issues that needed sorting out as soon as I landed. So my approach was to get to know the team. As I said in the last answer, I want to make sure that I'm approachable and people understand why I'm there and what I'm all about. Meeting key stakeholders, finding out from the wider business where the issues are and what the problems are, so that I can then address them and put in plans to address them. Making sure that there's correct governance, procedures, policies in place, and if there aren't, there'll be priorities to address. So it's building up that picture of what is right and what is wrong with the place when you land there, and then coming up with your kind of list of challenges and then prioritising them as appropriate based on threat and risk and financial issues.
Thanks.
Thank you. Councillor Carr.
Right. Could you give an example of when you have moved into a new role or organisation? Oh, is it not working?
Let's see if I give the
Is
same
it
answer.
working now? Oh, sorry. It's all right, I've written it down against it, that's the reason why. Right, what is your approach to building and maintaining productive relationships with partners, particularly when dealing with challenging matters in order to achieve good outcomes?
Okay. So in a lot of one of the biggest challenges we've had with partners, or I've had to deal with in recent years, is the exit from MFSS, which I'm sure you will have heard of. So the collaboration service that Northamptonshire Police used to be involved in with Cheshire. There was an awful lot of partners involved in that from other police forces, consultants, IT specialists, and what I had to do is try and navigate from a Northamptonshire perspective through all of the issues that we were getting, and to exit from that arrangement and to build the new department and the new finance system that we now have. What was imperative was to to keep all of those stakeholders and partners on side so they all understand what all of our priorities are, what the plan is. There's no surprises. There's complete transparency about what we're trying to achieve and how we're going to get there. And without that, these things just simply won't work. And what's really important to me is that we listen to what other partners and other stakeholders have to say, and if there are problems for them, then there are problems for us, because we're all trying to aim towards the same goal and we need to resolve those.
Thank you.
Thank you. Councillor Gonzalez de Savage.
Thank you. Good afternoon, Bob. As the interim Chief Finance Officer, how will you aim to ensure that the operation of the OPFCC reflects good working practice in relation to financial governance and planning?
So we already have in place a joint corporate governance framework between the OPFCC, fire and police, and that's something that's been in place for a little while now, but we've reviewed and developed that between the three organisations to ensure there's consistency of approach, to ensure all the responsibilities, the statutory responsibilities, but also the responsibilities across the business all align. And what is really important is that the OPFCC sticks to those rules as much as the OPFCC expects fire and police to do so. So what I would be doing is working with Stephen and colleagues to ensure that we've got the processes in place that align with our other organisations in the group, and that we all follow those rules as appropriate, and that any deviation from that is challenged and evidenced, and we can have a conversation and get it out on the table and honestly talk it through to make sure that we've got a legitimate way forward.
Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you. Councillor Maxwell.
Could you give an example when you've been required to challenge someone at a senior level about a course of action that they were proposing, and how you went about it effectively? How did you go about this effectively?
Thankfully, this isn't something that happens as often now as it used to. So, as I said in the last question, we have a corporate governance framework, and it's really important that all staff and officers and colleagues at all levels follow that. So there are examples where particularly senior officers will want to do something because they're very excited about it, and I've had to say, no, you can't do that because of this. And the because of this bit is really important, because you need to have sold the reason why somebody can't do something. The biggest examples we get is in procurement. Somebody sees a nice bit of kit in PC World's window and wants to go and buy it, and says, "Oh, did you put this on the credit card in the office?" No, we can't do that. We have contracts in place. We have governance to go through. And so it's quite often that I'd have to say no to those kind of things. And I'm obviously quite comfortable in doing that, and people respect that. I mean, only this week somebody asked me a question, and I think they knew what the answer was going to be when they asked it, but I had to give them the answer, and I said, you know why you can't do it this way? This is what you've got to go through, and these are the reasons why. And a lot of it is about best value and value for money.
So do you recognise people who want to put something forward because they can see it as something which would be advantageous to the department?
Yeah, but what's important is it goes through the right channels. So if somebody's identified an investment that would be worthwhile, we need it laying out in a business case. We need to see the benefits. We need to see the risks. We need to see a kind of a route to market if it's purchasing some goods or something, and it needs to fit in with the strategies of the organisation and the direction of travel. It'll need to fit in with the police, fire and crime plan, or the matters of priority for the force, or the CRMP for fire. It can't sit outside of the overall vision for whatever the organisation is looking to achieve.
Thank you.
Thank you. And final question from me. What relationship will you seek to have with the Police, Fire and Crime panel if you're appointed, and how can the panel contribute to support your role?
Well, as always, I like feedback. Clearly, you'll be seeing reports that I'm writing, and I'm happy to take feedback from those. If there's better ways of doing things, please do tell me. I've enjoyed the engagement sessions that we've had. So some of the panel that I've met remotely already through the sessions that Helen has set up on the precept conversations, and we'll be having one of those in January. I find that quite an interesting experience, and that's a really good way of gauging how all of you feel and any questions that you might have that we can address to make sure that the reports that you get from me and from the office do what you need them to do. So I think it's a two-way thing. I think as long as we're honest and transparent with each other, and if you've got any queries, I'm very happy to address them.
Perfect. So perfect communication is what we want, isn't it?
Oh, absolutely.
Okay. So is there anything you'd like to sort of come back on, any of the good questions, or have you got any questions of the panel?
No, I just thank you for your time. It feels very strange to have a whole meeting like this dedicated just to me. I'm going to get a big ego, but thank you. No, nothing more.
We like you.
Thank goodness.
Okay, thank you. So that concludes that part of the meeting. We will now go into a private session, I think is the term.
Sorry, Chair.
Oh, I've missed something.
There are no items of urgent business.
No items of urgent business.
And then through you, Chair, as is standard practice, the panel moves into private session to consider its recommendation on the proposed appointment. So if I could do the necessary, the formal wording is that the panel is asked to agree that under Section 100A of the Local Government Act 1972, the public be excluded from the meeting for the following item of business on the grounds that if the public were present, it would be likely that exempt information under Part 1, Paragraph 1 of Schedule 12A to the Act of the descriptions would be disclosed to them. So could I ask if the panel is happy to agree to that? In which case,